Arc 3.0 brings a significant upgrade to hunters, including speed, aggression, and most importantly, electrocuting enemies on demand. But today I'm going to go through the best melee hunter Arc 3.0 build. I'm going to talk through that Arc 3.0 setup, the aspects, the fragments, plus the exotic armour, the weapons and the mods. This build is going to turn your hunter into a deadly assassin with electric fists, and you're going to be punching, shooting and electrifying everyone that get in your way. Well, if you're new around here or find this useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. And roughly 98% of viewers who watch This Week in Video Games aren't subscribed, so subscribe today and never miss an update. Well, before we get into the build video today, let me know down in the comments your favourite Arc 3.0 hunter build. I'd really love to hear from you. Okay, so let's dive into the build. And first of all, we've got the Arc 3.0 setup. First of all, I've got the super, that's Gathering Storm. That's the new one, so hurl your Arc Star forward, embedding it to surfaces or large targets and jolting nearby enemies. After a short time, a devastating lightning bolt strikes the staff, overcharging it with arc energy, and while overcharged, your staff discharges lightning at nearby foes. Well, then for my grenade, I'm using Arc Bolt, and then my melee, I'm using Combination Blow. So quick strike that temporarily increases your melee damage when defeating a target, stacking 3 times. My class ability, I'm using Gambler's Dodge, so dodge to perform a death tumble, avoiding enemy attacks, and dodging near enemies fully recharges your melee ability. Okay, so let's have a look at the aspects and the fragments with the aspects first. So I'm using Flow State, defeating a jolted target makes you amplified, and while you are amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly, and you're more resilient while dodging, and your reload speed is greatly increased. I'm also using Lethal Current, so after dodging your next melee attack has an increased lunge range, jolts the target and creates a damaging aftershock, and damaging any jolted target with melee attacks also blinds them. Looking at the fragments then, so we've got Spark of Shock, your arc grenade jolts targets, that is a -10 on discipline. You've got Spark of Recharge, so while critically wounded your melee and grenade energy regenerates more quickly. You've got Spark of Frequency, so melee hits greatly increase reload speed for a short duration, and Spark of Volt's finishers make you amplified. Well, next up, let's have a look at the exotic armour. So I'm using Liar's Handshake, and they are exotic hunter gauntlets, so they come with the perks Cross Counter, so using your arc melee ability or being hit by a melee attack allows you to follow up with an extremely powerful melee counterpunch that also heals you. And also we get increased mobility. So you can get these ones from Xur or as part of the gift of Season of the Plunder, and you can find that in the helm. Next up, let's have a look at the weapons. So first of all, in my Kinetic slot, I'm using the Wastelander M5. That is a legendary kinetic shotgun with a lightweight frame, meaning it's got superb handling and you move faster with the weapon equipped. For PvE, Rifled Barrel, Assault Mag, Perpetual Motion and Trench Barrel would be a decent roll. So while that is a good roll, I'm using it because I've got one with 1-2 punch. That is a great perk for melee focused build, so hitting an enemy with every pellet in the shot increases the melee damage for a short duration. In the energy slot, I'm using a Risk Runner. This one is an exotic energy submachine gun. Comes with the perks Arc Conductor, so when taking arc damage, the weapon becomes more powerful and resists incoming arc damage, and kills extend the time in this overcharged state. Also, it's got Superconductor, so when Arc Conductor is active, shots fired have the chance to become chain lightning, and also return ammo. So you can get this one from Xur or on the New Light quest. I do have a guide for the quest on the channel. So finally, for the weapons in the power slot, I'm using Half Truths. This one is a sword. So Half Truths is a legendary power sword with an adaptive frame, meaning you can launch a heavy uppercut attack. Heavy attacks are stronger with full energy. So for PvE, Hungry Edge, Balance Guard, Relentless Strikes and Eager Edge would be a decent roll. Eager Edge in particular is very good, so it's where you gain increased sword lunge distance immediately after switching to the weapon. It very much makes it feel like the Halo energy sword. Well, next up, let's have a look at the mods. I'm using Melee Wellmaker. I'm using that 3 times. So powered melee combatants final blow spawn elemental wells that match your subclass energy type. I'm using Bountiful Wells, so elemental well mods that cause you to spawn elemental wells can stack, spawning additional wells for each additional copy of the mod you have equipped. So every time I get a powered melee kill, I'm going to get 3 arc wells created through having 3 copies of Melee Wellmaker. Then I'm using Well of Striking, so picking up an arc elemental well grants you additional melee energy, and multiple copies of the mod increase this effect. Also using Outreach, so reduces melee cooldown when you're using your class ability, and Distribution reduces all ability cooldowns when you use your class ability near targets. Well, that is the build, and let's have a look at why this is good. But first of all, let's have a look at the Arc 3.0 keywords and how they are going to improve our hunter. First of all, amplified. So an amplified guardian is faster, both in terms of movement speed and in terms of their weapon handling. They're more agile to perform longer slides and can function as a devastating setup for some of the attacks that follow. So by default, all arc classes become amplified after rapidly defeating targets with any arc damage, and equipped aspects and fragments offer additional ways to benefit from being amplified. Well, then we've got Jolt, and this one is really important to the build. So jolted opponents who are damaged will periodically send slivers of chain lightning out to nearby enemies, damaging them in the process. Also blind, so blinded opponents in PvE won't be able to see. They're also going to be disoriented and unable to fire their weapons. But in PvP, blinded opponents will have their screen whited out and their HUD removed for a short period of time, alongside a distorted, washed out audio effect. So going back to the build, this build is focused on melee action for our hunters. You dodge in and out of attacks, punching, and then regenerating the abilities quickly to create a ton of elemental wells, which in turn is going to allow us to dodge, punch and throw grenades more often. So paired with our arc weapons and super, this allows us to electrocute enemies at will, destroying rooms of enemies in seconds, and also laying big DPS down on bosses. Well, through this build we are focused on getting Jolt to proc plus Amplified to refresh our dodge and also charge melee ability. Through Flow State we're going to be more resilient, and also that reload speed is faster. Through Lethal Current we're going to be jolting targets and setting up that loop all over again, also creating aftershocks. Given we are using Liar's Handshake, our powered melee ability is also going to heal us, plus also deal more damage through an improved melee attack. So the gameplay loop for this build should begin with a melee attack, roll into a dodge, melee again, then repeat, throwing in some arc weapon kills and grenades when you want to. So 1-2 punch through our shotgun is going to increase that melee damage, plus we got Liar's Handshake stacking on there too, meaning our Arc 3.0 hunters are going to pack a real punch and cause major damage to red and yellow bar enemies. And then when you encounter a boss, simply build up your super, unleash Gathering Storm, and they're not going to last very long. Well, let me know in the comments what you think of the build, and let me know if you got any improvements. But that is it for this Best Melee Hunter Arc 3.0 build with Liar's Handshake in Destiny 2. And as always, thank you so much for watching or listening. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. Or you can check me out on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Well, thanks again. I'll see you soon.